Have you ever sat down to create something like a social media post, copy for your website, maybe a video script, an email, and you knew exactly what you wanted to say? Your message was clear, you knew who it was for, and you knew that you could help someone. And then something on the inside just felt off. So you started to edit, rewrite it, second guess it, and maybe you wondered what people might think about it. And you started changing parts of your message. And maybe you even decided, that's it, I'm not even going to post it, I hate it, I'm done. Like something was just really off. So if you've ever experienced that, this information is for you. Because most of us assume the problem is that we don't know enough. So if you're like many of us, what do? You go read another book, you take a course, you learn another strategy. Maybe you even go get another certification because maybe that will fix it. But eventually, most coaches reach a very frustrating realization. You're not struggling because you don't know enough. You're struggling because you can't consistently use the information that you already know. Now, that's a very different problem. Here's what I mean. Let's say you put a destination into your GPS. You know exactly where you want to go. You don't really know how to get there. But every time you start driving, your GPS begins to reroute you somewhere else. Now, that's what many people experience. You know where you want to go, you know what you want to do, you might even know how to do it. But when it comes time to do it, and something starts taking over, it's like it reroutes you. What if the problem isn't that you don't know what to do? What if the problem is that something inside changes when that pressure shows up? What if you still know the information, but it's like you lose access to it when you need it? Think about that content that you were creating. At first, the message felt clear. Then you started wondering if people would judge it. Maybe you started comparing yourself to someone else. Or maybe you started questioning whether you were qualified enough to say what you were going to say. Or maybe you just went, I'm just not ready for it. It's not good enough yet. Now, nothing changed about the message. What changed was what happened inside of you. And when that happens, and when what happens inside of you changes, then your behavior changes. And this is where that stuck feeling shows up. And we've been taught to believe that awareness should create change. And awareness matters, but you can't change what you can't see. So basically, awareness is great, but it is not the finish line. If you're an overthinker, you know you overthink. If you're a second guesser, you know that. Maybe you're someone who hesitates. So the question isn't whether you know it, because I'm sure you know it. The question is what happens in that moment when it arrives again, because that's where your growth gets tested. Not while you're learning about it or taking notes, not while you're watching a video, but when stress or pressure actually show up, when it's time to be seen. And this is why the same struggle can show up in different areas of your business. For example, you maybe know how to market, but you don't post. You know what you want to say, but end up rewriting it for hours. You know you need to be visible, but you keep putting it off. So the issue often is not the strategy. The issue is what happens when it's time to use the strategy. So if you keep getting stuck, that has a cost. You spend hours working on things that really should just take minutes. It costs energy. You carry decisions around long after they should be finished. And that costs you your momentum, because every hesitation delays action, and that costs visibility, because then the post never gets published, the video never gets recorded, the message never gets shared. And over time, this can definitely cost you business growth. And it's not because you don't know enough, but because something keeps interrupting your ability to use what you already know. And that is what's important to know. So what actually helps? Practice. Think about learning to drive. You can read the manual and it teaches you about driving, but actually driving is what teaches you how to drive. Practice driving. So the same thing happens here. Learning creates understanding, but practice creates change. And once you learn that better route, you can practice it. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes to stay on course. Eventually, you spend less time being rerouted and more time moving toward where you actually want to go. And that's why I created the Practice Lab. Most coaches already have plenty of information, but what they're often missing is a place to practice applying that information when stress, pressure, or discomfort show up. It's a place to bring visibility struggles, things where you're overthinking or hesitating, boundary issues, difficult conversations, any of those moments that just take you off course. The Practice Lab is where you learn to recognize when you've been rerouted. It's where you learn how to pause, notice what's happening, and choose a different direction before the pattern takes over completely. So it's not about being perfect. It's about getting more and more consistent, because real change isn't about knowing what to do, but it's about practicing how to do it in a way that feels comfortable when all those uncomfortable feelings show up. So the good news is practicing different responses in a safe space so you can recognize when you've been rerouted. Stay connected to yourself more and more and more when the pressure shows up. And over time, you trust yourself more because you're able to stay on course, even in those moments that used to take you off track. So if you'd like to understand more about what happens when pressure shows up, why it changes what you have access to in that moment, I've linked another video below in the description that gives more detail. And if you're ready to practice these skills in real life, you'll also find a link to the Practice Lab in the description. Because awareness creates choice, but practice creates change.